All right, guys, picture this. One group, two football giants, and two underdogs who refuse to just show up and take photos. Welcome to Group H. And trust me, this might be one of the most fascinating groups in the entire tournament. Let's break it down. You've got Spain. On the other side, Uruguay. And then, trying to crash this party, you've got Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde. Sounds simple on paper, right? Two big names, two smaller names. But football doesn't always work that way, and this group is a perfect example of why. Let's start with Spain, because honestly, they walk into this World Cup as the favorites of the group. Why? It all comes down to philosophy. Spain plays a modern, possession-based style. You know the type. Quick passing, patient build-up, controlling the rhythm of the game like a conductor leading an orchestra. When Spain is at their best, the opponent barely touches the ball. And that's not just frustrating for the other team, it's exhausting too. This approach has been the identity of Spanish football for years now, and it's not going anywhere. The idea is simple. If you have the ball, the other team can't score, and if you keep moving it around with purpose, eventually a gap opens up. That's when Spain strikes. Now, here's the thing about facing a team like that. It's not just about defending deep and hoping for the best. You need a plan, you need intensity. And that brings us to the complete opposite side of the spectrum, Uruguay. If Spain is about calm control, Uruguay is about fire, pure, physical, in-your-face football. Their approach is built around pressing, aggressive, relentless pressing that's designed to make life miserable for the opponent from the very first second. Think about it this way. Spain wants time and space on the ball. Uruguay wants to take that time and space away completely. It's a clash of philosophies. Possession versus pressure. Patience versus intensity. And when these two styles collide, you usually get something special. This is exactly why the head-to-head between Spain and Uruguay is being talked about as the game that could decide who tops this group. Two completely different approaches to the beautiful game, going head-to-head, with first place potentially on the line. If you're a football purist, this is the kind of matchup you circle on your calendar. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because Group H isn't just about these two heavyweights. There's Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde too, and writing them off would be a mistake. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia first. Their game plan revolves around discipline. And I don't just mean showing up on time and listening to the coach. I mean tactical discipline, staying organized, sticking to a structure, not giving the bigger teams easy chances. When you're facing teams with more individual talent, more experience, and frankly more star power, discipline becomes your best weapon. It's about making the pitch feel smaller for the opponent, closing down passing lanes, staying compact, not panicking when you don't have the ball for long stretches. Saudi Arabia knows they might not dominate possession against Spain or outmuscle Uruguay in a pressing battle. So instead, they're focused on being efficient, patient, waiting for that one moment, that one mistake from the opponent, and punishing it. And honestly, in a World Cup, that's all it takes sometimes. One mistake. One lapse in concentration, one set piece, one counterattack. If Saudi Arabia can stay solid defensively and disciplined positionally, they give themselves a puncher's chance in any of these matches. Now let's talk about Cape Verde, because their story here is honestly one of the more exciting parts of this group. Cape Verde is the kind of team that thrives on surprise. They're not walking into this tournament with the reputation of Spain or the physical dominance of Uruguay. But that can actually work in their favor. Nobody wants to be the bigger team that gets caught off guard by the underdog, and Cape Verde knows exactly how to use that pressure to their advantage. Their whole approach seems to be built around using the element of surprise, catching opponents who might be underestimating them, and turning that underestimation into opportunities. This is the beauty of group stage football. Every team, even the so-called smaller nations, brings something to the table. For Cape Verde, that something is unpredictability. You can prepare all you want for a team, but if they play with that surprise factor, with that hunger, with nothing to lose, things can get tricky fast for the bigger sides. So now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. What we have in Group H is essentially a clash between tradition and ambition. On one side, you've got two football powerhouses with completely different but equally proven styles. Spain with their elegant possession game, Uruguay with their relentless pressing. On the other side, you've got two challengers who know they're not the favorites, but who also know that World Cups are built on moments. Moments of discipline from Saudi Arabia, moments of surprise from Cape Verde. And here's something worth thinking about. Even though the spotlight naturally falls on the Spain versus Uruguay clash, that doesn't mean the other matches don't matter. In fact, they might matter even more in some ways. Points against the so-called smaller teams can be just as crucial, sometimes even more crucial, when it comes to qualifying from the group. Think about it. If Spain or Uruguay slip up against Saudi Arabia or Cape Verde even just once, the entire dynamic of this group could shift completely. Suddenly, that marquee match between the two giants becomes even more pressure-packed because a draw or a loss there could mean elimination, depending on how the other results go. This is what makes group stage football so unpredictable and so much fun to follow. On paper, everything looks straightforward. Two strong teams, two weaker teams, simple math. But football rarely follows the script on paper. So as we head into these matches, keep an eye on a few things. Watch how Uruguay's pressing holds up against Spain's passing game. Does Spain have the composure to play through that pressure, or does Uruguay's intensity force mistakes? On the flip side, watch how Saudi Arabia's discipline translates onto the pitch. Can they frustrate one of these giants and steal a point? Or even all three? And of course, keep your eyes on Cape Verde. Underdog stories are some of the best stories in football, and every World Cup needs at least a few of them. Could Group H be the place where one of those stories begins? At the end of the day, this group has all the ingredients for drama. Contrasting styles, a clear favorite matchup that could define the standings, and two teams who, even if they're not expected to top the group, absolutely have the tools to make life difficult for anyone who underestimates them. So that's our breakdown of Group H. Two giants with opposite philosophies, two challengers with very different paths to causing an upset, and a group stage that could go in more directions than people might expect. Now I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think comes out on top of this group? Do you back Spain's possession game? Or are you backing Uruguay's pressing power? And do you think either Saudi Arabia or Cape Verde can pull off a surprise here? Drop your predictions down in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next World Cup preview. Because we've got a lot more groups to break down, and trust me, things are only getting more interesting from here. See you in the next one.